Welcome to Energy is Currency, the millennial development podcast devoted to helping you mind your business personally and professionally. My name is Alexis Williams, and I am your marketing consultant, idea generator, and mini modern philosopher, the entrepreneur that checks all the boxes, whatever that may mean. Subscribe to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeartRadio to listen to every gem in every episode. Season 1 is available on all streaming platforms. Welcome back, y'all. This is the grand finale or the season finale of my 4th season of Energy is Currency podcast. The season was called The Interviews because I was able to connect with so many brilliant audiences and just new people I would have never naturally crossed paths with had it not been for the podcast. So I'm super grateful, and I'm even more grateful to be closing it out with whom I'm closing it out with. This is one of my favorite people in the universe, Lauren Silinsky. I want her to grace you all with all of her info and background, and man, listen to this story. That's all I can tell. So I'm going to shut up so she can have the floor, and then we'll just have a fun little conversation figuring out life the way Lauren did, because she has a pretty awesome methodology. So Lauren, chat, connect,
well, thank
tell
you.
us everything. What do we need to know?
Well, first of all, I did not realize I was closing out the season. I'm so honored. So thank you for having me. What an honor to be here with the guru herself, Miss Lexi. not to
I did not
toot your own
say
horn,
that.
and not to toot your own horn from my perspective, but let's just be real. A hair artist, MBA, a teacher, yoga teacher, helps, social media manager. Like, what do you not do? So just to be here,
this, a little of that,
just a sprinkle.
Sprinkles.
Oh, so grateful. Yes, and I appreciate you too, because the way that Lexi and I met was sort of a fun, unique situation. I was part of a dance studio in Atlanta. I had just recently relocated from Chicago. I was just tired of being cold, and I happened to move in next door to a dance studio, and I decided to go up the stairs and see what was up, and I met the team at Daza Dance and decided to do their first showcase for that year, which was the Fairy Tales and Fantasy Showcase, aka I get to be a Disney princess, my dreams.
Yes.
But I do have some mobility challenges, and I do have a connective tissue disease called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that affects, what positions I can easily sit in for too long, or which can affect getting your hair done. And so I just remember they wanted to connect me with you to make sure that we would be able to make that work to even sit down to get my hair done. And I just appreciate that you were so accommodating. And that was how we met, is that, you let me stand up while I get my hair done. You gave me the perfect hair situation for me and my little princess vibe. And I instantly was like, this one, she's a real one. And just your energy and how you put that into your craft and your artistic nature and how that comes out in our hairs is amazing. So that was how we met. And in Atlanta, it's interesting because my health in some ways, it was just time to get to the core of what was happening that I didn't want to face when I lived in Chicago, because Chicago, I was, boss babe, and I was in my ego nonsense of I can't admit that something's even wrong because I have too much work to do. So Atlanta was kind of my reset.
Hustle culture.
Right? Yeah. Hustle culture in the city, right? And Atlanta is just a slower paced city than Chicago. So I was viewing it like, this is my reset.
Imagine that.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that sentence. Atlanta is a slower pace than Chicago.
It is, believe it or not. Yeah. So I was like, oh, people actually I can tell a story that's longer than 2.5 minutes here, and people aren't like, okay, I gotta go. So, but when I left Chicago, I saw a quote that said, you can't heal in the same place you got sick. And for whatever reason, that landed for me of like, oh, I can't heal from inside the culture that I grew up in, and I just got to get out of here just to see.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know I've heard that phrase before, you can't heal in the place that you got sick, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think, knowing what I know of you, I don't think that I ever landed that the gravity of a statement like that, where it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you have to change your environment.
I
There
had
are
to
some
leave.
times when you're
Yeah,
going to have to change your environment. Like that
that
is,
part.
if you want to keep living, if you want to live better, if you want to do better, you're gonna have to change your environment. And I think what I know of you, changing your environment has always served you well. Okay. Let me tell you what. If you ever see Lauren on any of the Georgia border state lines, that's including Tennessee, South Carolina, and Alabama and Florida, you call me. I'm kicking her the F out. You get out. You smack now. You get back up the road.
Yeah, Lexi's like, you're not allowed to
And I've
come
been
back.
saying it for I've been saying
I'm
it for a
border.
while
Yeah.
because and but like and but literally watching how you've blossomed in different environments though, it really creates such a justification for, like, there's evidence behind the statement. Okay, so I'll let you go, you keep going.
No, it's fine. Well, and not to get off on a tangent, but like I have seen some things with like, you know, astrology in certain places for people. Like, what does your astrology
Mm,
look like while living in this place? Is it compatible with you? And I've always wondered, I haven't delved fully into that, but I do think that there are certain
yeah,
places more suited for people than others, whether it's for living fully or just visiting or just to renew your energy. And for me, traveling always renews my energy when I'm meeting up with the right people, that are my people, and are of a
right.
certain vibration. And I think that Chicago, I was just too in it. I needed to get outside of the problem. I needed a reset. So I view Atlanta like my
You were
reset.
overly programmed.
Yes,
Yeah, you were
exactly.
overly programmed. Yeah,
Yes,
overly
so
programmed.
programmed. And I
And
was in situations I couldn't see a way out of unless I physically removed myself from, I didn't know about energy really yet at that point to the level that I do
mhm,
now. And I feel that even moving to Atlanta connected me with some of the people who've taught me the most about energy. I did have one, I call her my spiritual guide, my first yoga teacher, Layla. She was sort of who introduced me to astrology, the concept of energy, the concept of chakras, like, Native American energy medicine, the medicine wheel, all that, Native American animal medicine. So she sort of gave me some tools, but I just
yeah,
couldn't see my way out of that situation. I needed to remove myself. And then Atlanta was sort of my reset where I did connect with you and a lot of other sort of energy workers in their own way that really gave language to what I was experiencing and also allowed me to, like, I actually physically at a point got worse in Atlanta than when I was in Chicago, but it was almost like it was almost like I needed to peel back the layers to what was actually happening, which it's
mhm.
kind of like what's happening in society right now. It's like sometimes we've been faking it, thinking we've actually healed something that we
Okay,
went
wait a
through,
minute.
and I don't know, the civil rights movement, all of that stuff. Like, I'm thinking, oh, we healed that. But really, it was just people learned how to be more politically correct outwardly. And when we peel back the
Mm.
layers, then we get, oh, there's some really people that actually still are thinking like that. And they just weren't being given, I'm not trying to get political, but they weren't being given a
You're fine.
platform to, be freely express themselves. So once they
Right.
are, then we realize, oh, there's some ugliness and hatred still, like, that was buried, that at least this might be my ignorance, but I thought was like better than before. But really, sometimes you just have to peel back the layers to the ugliness and let it come out. And like it looks like, oh, we're in chaos. This is much worse. But we needed to purge it to so that we can heal it is the hope, is the optimistic hope I keep. And I don't know. That's just what I have to tell myself so that I don't, so that I stay in a dread deficit. Because let's be real, a lot of dread, and I just can't live there. So
And you know
I
what?
became.
You're in such proximity of it as well, especially with you
Hmm.
living in Baltimore now. You're knocking on the
Yes.
doorsteps of it. So
Oh, it's
I
right.
could
It's right
totally
next door.
imagine.
It's
Listen,
right
I
next
can
door.
only imagine the tension you're experiencing. Oh my Lanta.
Hmm.
I
No,
think,
my
you
lord.
know,
Yeah.
I'm with the 92%, baby. We knew this was gonna be some trash. And we were like,
Oh, I mean,
okay, well,
we all knew it was gonna
let's
be
go.
trash. Let's be real. I guess I just didn't realize how many people still think it's the 1950s. Is more my shock, like to the quantity. Like I knew there were some people, but like the quantity that are still supporting the chaos is astronomical to me.
You know what? You know what the thing about it is, and this even speaks to uncovering more spiritual things. Okay, I'll give you a
Hmm.
perfect example. I know someone that has experienced a lot of congestive heart failure, right?
Hmm.
And in order to keep living, they started producing weed arteries.
I'm sorry.
Well, it was
Weed
like, you know
arteries.
what? Those, yeah, like the arteries that usually worked are so clogged and blocked that the
Hmm.
body adjusted by making new arteries to overcompensate, right?
Okay.
And I'm nobody's doctor. Don't ask me any more medical exam
Fair. We're gonna leave it
questions.
there.
This is an analogy. Alrighty, thank you. So meanwhile, it just makes me think they didn't fix the problem. They just
That part. That part. That part. We didn't fix
they didn't fix
anything.
the problem. And sometimes the
No.
problem can't be undone and you have to adjust to where you are now. But
Yes.
to your point, you gotta have that moment of being like, this is where we are. Okay. Where you get
Right.
really present and aware of it
Hmm.
because avoiding it, disregarding it, pretending everything is okay, it benefited you up until a point where now it's an emergency.
That
What could
part.
have been a few
Right.
check-ins, few serious
Yep.
conversations, maybe a little accountability, some responsibility, checks and balances, all those little cute things that
Checks
we
and
used to do or
balances.
whatever, pennies, all of those things that we don't have anymore.
Right.
We avoid them until now we're in a pickle. We're in a
Hmm.
pickle and we're cucumbers and it's very sour here.
we. I have one of my favorite. I don't remember who taught me this, but the feather brick truck analogy, and it's true of what happened with my health stuff. It's true of what's happening big picture, where like from we can expand this out as much as we want, but we'll just use my health as an example for the macrocosm here. So the feathers, like my body being like, hey, we don't like this. This is not like you got to listen to me. I'm trying to send you some messages, and I'm like, God, this is feather. Get out of here,
Right?
right?
And
And
it's
then
like, it was a little tickle,
so it's like it's kind of tickly,
swatting it
but
off.
it's so annoying, whatever. And
It's
then the next
annoying,
one, it's like a
slightly
brick, and you're like,
irritating.
ow, the brick hits, and
No.
it's like, hey, I'm trying to tell you something, and you're like, ow, what's wrong with you? And you're like, hello, I'm trying to tell you something, but you're not listening. And I'm like, yeah, well, but like that hurt. All right, fine, like I'll listen for a minute, but all right, now I'm busy, I gotta go back to work. And then the truck where you stop and you're like, oh shit, and here comes the truck barreling down on you, where it's like, I can't avoid this anymore. This is the backlash of me not listening when the feather was whispering. So for me, on a smaller level, for society on a bigger level, like we just weren't listening to all the things we should have been listening to because we were so busy hustling. And some of us were listening in some regards, but maybe it's like,
But you know what? To
what do
your
you
point,
do even if you are listening? Like, when do you take
but hold on,
action?
let's go back to the point. Let's go
Hmm.
back to this point, right?
Hmm.
We say, are you listening? But it's like, what is playing in your head? Like me and my mom laugh all the time because we all have different songs constantly playing. And it's like, baby, if you got the stupid song playing, you're listening to the stupid song. So it's
Right,
like
right, right.
really
Good point.
taking a moment to be aware of what am I digesting
Mm,
intellectually is bigger than food. And
mm,
as programmed as we are by social media, we are digesting so much information passively on my little average time on my phone is 6 hours a day. So for 25% of my day, I'm
Oh man.
passively downloading information. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's for people who are even tracking that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
before we
I've
even
never
realize
tracked it.
that we need to listen, we need to make sure that the record is playing. Because I know our
Mm.
generation, if you ask us what we were listening to, we were all listening to Rick Ross telling us to hustle, 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 hustle. And that was like the right thing to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
We were trying to be like creepy old Diddy. You know what I mean? We were
Right.
trying to, we had
Oh.
at one point we were trying to work
Oh
for Trump.
man.
We were watching The Apprentice. We were all
Yeah,
trying to
you're
get to
fired
be
and all that
we
stuff.
were
No.
listening to something. The question is, was what we listening to healthy? And I think now we're realizing like, oh, all of the programming was unhealthy. There was a lot of toxicity throughout the
Right.
programming,
Well,
and
and I think it's
now
also about moderation too, because like I think
yeah,
hustle
for
has
sure.
its moments. Like I think there is a point where you should hustle. Like I think your early to mid 20s is time for, some hustle. And then you get to a point where it's like, okay, I've like put in a lot of work and now I also need to learn like boundaries and moderation and learning when to like, okay, and now the hustle turns off after these 8 hours that I just did. And now we're gonna go into rest and digest, relaxation mode, but we didn't learn that other part. They taught us hustle, but they didn't teach us align. And they didn't teach us
Yeah,
about energy. And they taught us that
I was gonna
productivity
say,
equals worth. So, what were you gonna say?
yeah, I was gonna say this is very millennial coded. Everything you're saying is
So
very
millennial
millennial
coded.
coded.
Very millennial coded.
And
And
Gen
I will
Z
go
and
further to
Gen
say
Alpha are
millennial.
like, no, girl. Gen Alpha is like, when am I gonna get my spa time, honey? And we're
Wait,
like,
I just saw the.
girl, we didn't even go to sleep when we were your age, and you want to go to the spa? Are you kidding me?
Wait,
But it's
I
like
just.
they're not wrong. Nobody is wrong. The gag is nobody is wrong for their approach.
I've joked with some of my Gen Z friends that like I'm like there's a happy medium between us, and I think we need each other because we need you guys to be like, hey, you could just not work so hard, and then we need you to be like, okay, you can't like
But you could
unpack
work
and live in your
sometimes.
feelings all day. Like we could come and do some work and stay present with me while we do some work together, and it's gonna be fun, and then you go back in your feelings and be like stagnant in whatever you're doing. But then we're also like, oh, I feel like baby boomers were like, we don't have feelings, we just got to make this better for the next generation. And then Gen X was like, I have a feeling, and it's that this is like I'm angry at this bullshit. And then we were like, oh, we have feelings and they can be different than just like I'm angry, I'm happy, and it's okay, which I feel like is a Midwest thing. But like,
But
I feel like
wait, if
in
you want us to process our feelings for the millennials, we're gonna need a week and a half. If you
right,
expect
we're gonna need
full
time off for a
emotional
minute.
support, I need a week and a half tops,
Right, right. But then you can't,
minimum.
yeah, but if you don't get that off, you don't have time to process your feelings because you got to work three
No.
jobs just to make this life comfortable that you're used to. So, right, that part. And everything's millennial coded. And
No.
I will even say millennial, like they have now millennial eldest daughter, or like, if you were an only child or you were the only child of your generation because your older brothers and sisters were like way older or your younger siblings were way younger, and you like, or you have a unique situation like that makes you sort of have to be an independent woman of our generation, is a whole other layer of coding that we're finally
Hmm.
addressing too.
I feel
So
like one thing that they need to thank millennials for is language and articulation. If nothing else, we were able to find the words to make it just a thing, not a right or
mm-hmm.
wrong, not a positive or a negative, but this is just a thing. This is what the body does when it experiences X, Y, and Z. And we took a
Right.
lot of that stigma out of it because we needed more resonance and representation and more understanding. But I
Mm-hmm.
love like the whole millennial. I felt like all of the things you listed about the millennial eldest daughter, I was like, oh God, that's all me. Because I am like in different
Yeah.
layers and all while still being a baby, being the baby to the family, the coveted
Right.
family baby. And so is there's so many different tropes and identities and stereotypes and programs that we have just absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, to your point of needing to shift the environment, how do you take off that identifying layer?
Yes.
What
And
does that
and
look like?
and I am blessed to have later on received a lot of tools to do this in the environment I'm in, so I don't have to change environments. But when I didn't have those
Mhm.
tools, I just didn't know what to do. So what I would do is change the environment because it took me out of the identity. But later
Yeah.
on, I discovered a good girlfriend of mine named Allison. I had let her stay with me for a week in Chicago before she was moving, so she had introduced me to a program called Avatar as like a gift to me. And Avatar
Hmm.
really did give me a lot of great tools to use so that now I can identity shift with these tools without having to physically remove myself from the state that I'm living in, which I do have a Sagittarius moon. So let's not, we do like to flip tables and then just leave.
It's gonna
That's our
happen
thing.
anyway.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
probably
happen
happen,
anyway.
right? It'll probably happen again at some point. But for now, I'm gonna work on myself here in the ways that I've learned through, being able to shift in and out of certain identities and see which ones serve me, which ones don't serve me, which ones I need to completely eliminate. And some identities are just gonna be with us. Like if you go and see, I saw a good quote once. It was like, if you think you're enlightened, go and spend 2 weeks with your family, and then come talk to me. And so it's like, we all have to work on, like, if I go spend 3 days with my parents and my brother, like, even if I've been working on myself, all our little parts are gonna, by day two, come out how they were growing up. And then I have to put conscious awareness, like, okay, I'm falling into a pattern that I used to fall into, and I'm not going to do it this time. But maybe I still do, even after all these years of working on myself. And so, but the goal is
You
to
know,
be able to shift identities and recognize them without having to physically go move to another state or country, which I have also
let
done.
me jump in there with you. And you know what, Lauren, you're gonna keep doing that. Let's just be honest. There is we can blame it on, oh, I need to change identities. No, Lauren, you just want it to go. And it's okay.
Bye.
But you know what I think it is? So I've been thinking about lately, the visual of the yin and yang has been really like a standout like visual for me lately, because okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's the light within the dark and the good within the bad and all of that stuff, but I've found some new language for it,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps me to be more at peace, because I'm not trying to shift anymore. I'm trying to integrate. I want all y'all to get in here,
Mm,
and
yeah.
if that part of me that needs to flip over the Monopoly table shows up, it's because she's justified.
Right.
Okay. If the
Because
part of me that goes and steals all my mom's perfumes and lotions and stuff shows up, it's justified. Because okay, so what I've been saying is like, okay, so you have the dark side and the light side, right? The
hmm
dark side I've been saying is good intentions with bad execution,
Oh, I like that.
and the
I
light
like that.
side is good execution with resentment. So really learning how to balance those out, right? Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
My thing is this, the parts of me that air this bitch out, for lack of a better phrase. I love her. Oh my gosh, she's my favorite. So I'm
hmm
not. I'm not scared of her. Everybody else seems to be uncomfortable. I don't get it, but I love her. She's my favorite. And I also
That's
have to be.
great.
I have to be really humble when I think I'm doing the right thing,
Mm,
because we talk about people pleasing and how
yep.
underneath it has a very inherent manipulative layer of, I feel like I have to do or get other people to do to meet my needs, and
Right.
it's oh, I'm doing the right thing, but the intentions is nasty and it's weird. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like, instead
Yeah.
of shifting from identities, let me integrate them so that I'm executing with the right
Mm,
intentions, and that I'm
yes.
flipping shit over without resentment. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's where I've been
Right.
trying to take
Oh my
myself.
gosh, that resonates so much. And especially, that's been sort of the theme of my week, but you just articulated it so much better than I could have.
Ooh, how
Like,
so?
like one of the challenges that I'm having is, okay, if I step into my power and then it upsets people because maybe I'm getting opportunities that some people might feel I don't deserve because I haven't been doing it as long, but they're not looking at the bigger energetics of the situation, which is that you might be better at this specific craft or technical thing than I am, but energetically I've been working on myself for a decade, and so the law of attraction
You
and like bringing things to me might cause resentment that I'm getting something because I've been working in a different way than you, that you can't grasp because you're looking at just, oh, well, technically she's not doing that as well as my skill level, like, so I've been working differently on myself that energetically will attract awesome opportunities, but then stepping into my power and claiming those, and saying yes to them when some people feel I should have turned them down because they thought they were more qualified, and the resentment that comes with that, and me fighting the people pleaser part of myself that is like, oh, I should turn this down because it will upset this person, and how do I balance that, but then not doing that and feeling that resentment, and then how do I balance that I've actually upset somebody because I didn't play the role I usually play as the people pleaser.
yesterday I had this is the phrase I had yesterday. I was
Mm-hmm.
having a really good conversation about conflict and conflict resolution, and they brought up an example and the phrase that I came up with. This is a conflict of comparison,
Mm. Yes.
which is 100% one-sided.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. And it's interesting too because sometimes the measuring stick I'm using is what is
No, ain't
fair,
no two
whereas
people
the
got the
measuring stick
same
someone
measurement.
else might be using is like, this is a
And this
hierarchy
is
and
the
you're
thing.
at the bottom, and I'm not
And this is the
operating
thing.
like that.
And this is the thing. Nobody's measuring sticks are universally accepted symbols. You all
Right.
aren't using a universally accepted symbol because everybody is coming from such different perspectives, lifestyles,
Yep.
this and the third. But
Experiences.
you cannot let someone else's thought process impact your thought process. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's, yeah, that's
Because if that's
real.
the case, then every single thought that every person has automatically becomes what singularly your responsibility to manage. Are you?
Right.
And if we're in this, and if we're in this environment of consummate professionals in this invisible hierarchy that's been
Right,
very
right.
firmly established,
Hmm.
then why are they operating from a lower level in a hierarchy that they created? Y'all know,
And
viewers,
my,
do you know?
and that's the end of the episode. Thank you everybody for joining us. Just kidding. You said it. That's
But
that's the
no, it's
bigger
like
question.
that's the bigger question. I just
It's
nah.
the bigger question,
Be
but that's
yourself.
where people like
I,
people don't give enough credit to energy of situations. And I think we are moving
mm,
into a time now where that's going,
I
it's
don't have a
almost like,
choice.
okay, in the past, nobody talked about therapy was very stigmatized, right? And then I think our
Mhm.
generation started to be like, hey, we might be a little bit messed up just like you guys are, but we want to do something
You
about
need
it
to
so
go
we can
talk
be
to the
better
lady.
friends, siblings, parents, everything. I mean, my millennial parent friends who I have utmost respect for, I'm just a cat mom, but like my millennial parent friends are simultaneously parenting their children while reparenting themselves in a way that no
Yeah,
other generation has done before us. So like that
right.
is new, and we are go millennials because we're breaking ground with that. And then my Gen Z friends have no problem talking about their therapists. Like they're like, oh yeah, my
Yeah,
therapist. Like, and so they've already normalized it like way more than we even have. But we
yeah,
were the spark of the change, I feel. And so
yeah.
now, after like learning that we have feelings, I was just talking to one of my friends the other day about my like process of learning that I have feelings, where I would
You
be
too. You
like,
got
yeah, apparently, because someone would be like, well, how did that make you feel? And I'd be like, well, really, it was bullshit,
that.
because let me tell you why. And they'd be like, no, no, how did it make you feel? And I'm like, I just told you. And they're like, no, you told me what you thought. I'm asking how it made you feel. And I'm like, that's the same thing.
Ooh.
And they're like, and I was like, oh, what do you mean, like sad and stuff? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh. And they're like, yeah, I felt like it was bullshit is not a feeling. And I'm like, I see where you're going with
I
that.
hear them, but I still
Anger.
feel like that was a good answer. Yeah, I feel like that was bullshit.
They're like,
That should be a feeling. I don't know who we
label a
talked to
feeling
about
that.
that, but I definitely feel like that. Is it like a Webster's thing where we can like submit new
Yeah, it's like
feelings
a
and
feelings
shit?
list. That was
Oh
bullshit.
my
Just
god,
search
if they
online.
do they need to do a Inside Out with it and have a that was bullshit on the panel on the
Yes,
Inside
that's
Out.
a good
That's what we
idea.
need.
I
That's
never
gonna
saw the
sell out
second one.
trillions.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the third. That's the third of the trilogy.
Yes.
That was bullshit, which is different than anger, because anger is just blind rage,
Yes.
whereas that was bullshit is like noticing the hypocrisy behind it with a little bit of
Ooh,
irritation. I don't know. That's my pitch. You maybe you could have a
moral
better one.
annoyance.
Moral
I think we would call them
annoyance.
moral
Yeah,
annoyance.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
But we would still
I,
dress them up as like a little cow and make
yeah,
them like gassy or something, you know?
I love
Pixar,
that
I have
idea. I do
suggestions.
love
You
some
should
little
tap
cows,
in.
because little cows. I mean,
I mean, they just gonna sell out.
yeah,
Disney, do
I
you
mean,
hear me? Okay.
yeah. Tag Disney in the comments below.
But you know what? I definitely owe a lot of my emotional development to our relationship. A lot of the books that I am
Oh,
very like addicted to, like, oh no, we're gonna read this book. If you don't read this book, we can't be friends. Comes from our recommendations and even like
mm,
my own social awareness and being able to manage my own social anxiety. A lot of that came from our conversations and really having like people in my life
wow.
that I could have those types of high level, really thought provoking. We can be deep. We got 3 hours to talk, and we're gonna use every single second of it.
Lexi's
We're doing
therapy chair.
400 words a minute, honey. We have stuff to say, okay?
Hmm.
But it was all very therapeutic and necessary and healing. So I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed it. But what I learned from it, I learned so much about emotional intelligence and emotional flexibility and emotional maturity and just identity work and really just being present with what's happening now. You know what I mean? Like bringing a lot of
Hmm.
language to things. You know. So no,
Yeah.
it's been
Oh,
wonderful for sure.
that's, thank you. And I thought I was the only one learning. So thank you.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, absolutely
You
not.
have a way of taking the bigger situation, and this is a challenge and a deficit that I have that I've been working on over the years, but you have a way of taking the situation and boiling it down to like 1 to 2 sentences that just sum up the moral of what we can learn from it. And I used to be like, I wish I had a lexometer or something where like I could just plug the situation into the Lexi machine and they would come out with like two little wise phrases that I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just that. I
Are
guess
you
now that's called
suggesting
Chat
like a Lexi
GPT.
AI?
Yeah, I was gonna
Are
say,
you
I guess now
suggesting
that's
like
called
a
Chat.
Lexi AI?
I used to say
Huh.
that prior to AI, and what's funny is that as that was coming
Right.
out of my mouth, I was thinking, oh wait, that's just Chat GPT. But that didn't exist pre-Chat GPT. There was Lexi GPT, and you'd sit in her chair and
Okay.
she'd make you beautiful, and then she'd like spit wisdom balls at you from all the
Yes.
scenarios that you told her about your life, and then she'd wrap it up in a nice little bow and be like, here's the solution, or here's
And
the moral, or here's
all you have to do is burn down his bathtub. And there you go. So are we gonna do
and
this
then
in
hop a
3 weeks
jet
or
to
6 weeks?
another country, and you'll be good.
We'll
No,
figure it
I was
out.
doing
We'll
that.
figure out the little those are the little steps.
Those are the little steps. Those are the little
So
steps.
what
But
are you doing? Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
What are you doing up in Baltimore?
Well, I don't actually know. No, just kidding. I didn't actually know. But let me tell you something that's interesting. Where I was going with what I was going to say, which connects to your question, is that now we are getting to a point. where after learning about our emotional intelligence, like learning about our energy and intuition and frequencies and vibrations, that's going to be the next like cutting edge thing, like therapy was, that everyone discovered. Like
For sure,
listening
for
to your
sure.
intuition, listening to the energy, feeling the energy, observing the energy of situations, knowing which don't align with you, knowing which feel stagnant. And this plays into
Hmm.
like my timeline jump, as I call it. When
Yes,
I
let's
started
get some
to,
time on that. What's this timeline jump about?
so when I always joke when I go to sort of like spiritual conferences or things like that where we're working on energy. Some people do like Joe Dispenza or Avatar, or I think I don't know if there's another one. I don't remember the other one that people do, but I always joke that if I do something like that, like my whole life's gonna crumble apart. So I gotta like make sure I space it out appropriately. And when I say that, I just mean anything that's not aligned with what my frequency becomes after that, because of what I work on, will fall apart very quickly or fall away quickly.
Yeah,
So your whole life can change when you really start working on yourself in ways that are like magnificent, but in ways that are very jarring. So it
yeah,
was
for
after
sure.
one of those times. It had been about 2 years since I had done that because I was still adjusting to the fallout from the previous time. And I shed a lot of people and situations very quickly, which then allowed me to tune into my intuition. And I just remember that my friend Trisha came in. This was maybe about October or November of 2019. My friend Trisha came into my closet where I was like packing things and organizing them into boxes. And she was like, "What are we doing today?" And I was like, "Just packing." And she was like, "Oh, for what?" And I was like, "I just have this feeling like I'm going to be moving." And she was like, "To where?
Mm.
Like somewhere in Atlanta?" And I was like, "I actually have no idea. I just feel like it's coming." And she was like, "All right." And now at this time, also, my health had declined pretty badly, and I was like starting to try to work my way out of it. I had ended up in a wheelchair in 2019. Um, they just didn't know that with EDS, you get deconditioned so quickly. My PT place closed for a month, and that was all it took um, for me to get deteriorate very quickly. But I was kind of coming back out of that. And it's funny because we did the Daza Dance movie that same month.
Hmm.
And in the movie, I played a character with a disability. And at first, I was having a little bit of some feelings about that. I was like, I feel pretty typecast, like whatever. My ego was talking. And then I ended up needing like a procedure on my leg where it turned, and in the movie, I was supposed to have a wheelchair. And it turned out that like it was a good thing I had a wheelchair in the movie, because when we were shooting that scene, I actually needed it because I just had a procedure. So I had to get out of my head a little bit about, labels and identities and ego about that. But the part that's pretty
Yeah.
cool is that at the end of the movie, they say, and Lauren stood up out of her wheelchair and she never needed that wheelchair again.
It surely freaking did. It surely so. Okay, the movie she's talking about, I did all of the hair for it. So
Mm-hmm.
I was behind the scenes watching and supporting
Yep.
the whole production. I remember this happening in real time. I did
Yep.
not pay attention to that detail at the time though. Okay.
I
Back
didn't
to you.
either. I didn't either. I rewatched it and I was like, oh my God. And it was important that I rewatched it also
Yeah,
because
it was.
I actually didn't, after that, I was going to go on a road trip with my friend who was from Baltimore. We were going to go through Indiana and go and establish care for me with my provider that specializes in EDS. He had moved to Indianapolis. So his little minions wouldn't let me see him unless I physically went to see him in person. So my friend was like, well, let's make a road trip. We'll go from Atlanta to Indianapolis to Chicago, and then like I'll take you back, and then I'll fly back to Baltimore. That was March 13th of 2020. And what do you think happened when we were on the road? COVID hits. So the city shuts down. I knew it was coming when they canceled the St. Patrick's Day parade in Chicago. I was like, oh, they're not messing around about this virus. Chicago doesn't cancel that parade for anything. So I was like, well, where do we go? And he was like, well, why don't you come back to Baltimore with me for the next 2 weeks, until everything opens up. Well, 4 months later and everything's still shut down. And I was like, you know what? I actually really like it here. I might just stay. And that was purely the energetics of being in Baltimore, walking along the water on the little cobblestones in this cute area called Fells Point. And I was like, oh, I feel like I can breathe here. I had felt like Atlanta was starting to get a little stagnant for me, maybe just not having a body of water near me. Like, so I really started noticing with the world shut down, what's important to me in my environment. Like, I think I need to be by the
Mm.
water. I think that that is important to me that I was missing in Atlanta. Also, like I think I need things more walkable. Atlanta is very spread out. Yes, there's like walkable portions, but it's like 40 minutes in traffic to get to each little area that's walkable.
Right.
So it was like, I think I need more walkable places to help me walk. And at that point, I was still not able to walk more than a block by myself. So even though I didn't need the wheelchair anymore, it was still always with me just in case. And it was the love and dedication of my friend who was like, all right, today let's take a walk today. And every day of COVID, he would walk with me and we'd walk a little further until I could walk miles and miles by myself. And at that time, with the country shut down, I had access to physical therapists who were specialists in my condition. What are the odds that the other specialist in EDS, besides the one from Chicago, was from Baltimore? So all these people knew about my condition, and I had access to care that like I had never had before through Hopkins and even outside of that too. So I was able to walk again, blow my hair dry again. Lex used to blow my hair dry every week because I couldn't
Yep.
reach above my head to blow dry myself because of my
Yep.
condition. So like the first time I remember I blew dry myself, I sent her a picture, I sent you a picture, and I was like, look what I did. Like, and it looked like a lion. It looked crazy, but I
But
did
it
it, is
was
the point.
dry. You've done it. Yeah.
But it was
When
dry,
I
and that
tell
was,
you,
mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt, but
go.
the amount of progress you made from within that first year, I think I saw you the first month out during the pandemic. I came up and I was just a wreck. I was going through absolutely everything and
Yep.
nothing, right? And so I'm like,
A
damn,
lot.
Lauren is everywhere. Lauren is moving. Like in between me carrying on, I'm like, she out here fucking around. She moving. What's up with Lauren? And each time I would come back, you'd be doing something else. And it got to the point I was like, oh yeah, girl, I'll meet you when I get back. I'm like, well, where are you gonna be? Oh, I'm just gonna walk down here and I want to walk down there. Then I'm gonna check on this, and then I'm like, who was the Lauren that I knew in Atlanta then? If the Baltimore Lauren is doing all of this, what was going on with the
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Lauren? You can't, and this is the exact reason why she is not allowed to cross Georgia state lines anymore.
Lexi's
Because when
Atlanta
she
Border
went
Patrol.
just for Lauren, everybody else do
Just
your
right.
thing. Not my
Yeah.
business. This is if you, you must be Lauren Silinsky for me to clock in for that shift, okay? Because I mean, you're continuing to do so well out there. I remember
Thanks.
a lot of your milestones and how you were just acclimating to your body. It was really awesome to see. It really, really was. It
Thank
really was.
you.
It still
I
is.
appreciate
Yeah,
you.
it
And
still
you know
is.
what though? Shout out to Daza Dance for speaking it into existence. And Lauren
Yes.
never needed a wheelchair again. I didn't realize that until I watched the movie once I got here, and I was like, oh my God, they really spoke that reality into existence. So, and
Wow.
that is important. But also, a few things. One of the things that I had wanted to manifest through that spiritual, time, like conference that I went to in 2019 is I get paid to do what I love. And what do I love to do?
Mm.
Make music and also speak Spanish. And then in my Baltimore iteration, with everything shut down, I ended up teaching Spanish virtually. And then I became friends with these jazz musicians. And then when everything was shut down, there was one day where they'd have these living room jams, and it started with me just playing little auxiliary percussion, a little egg shaker, a little whatever. And then people would be like, hey, you actually have really good time. And I'd be like, it's a tambourine. And they'd be like, not anyone can do that and keep time. And I'm like, it's pretty simple, actually. And so I had so one day they didn't have a drummer in this living room jam that we were having because everything was still shut down. And I was like, well, if you teach me a swing beat, I could be the drummer. And my friends were like, all right. And so they taught me. And when I sat at that drum set, I was like, oh my God, I was meant to do this. And like, so, and I had always wanted to play the drums, but I chose alto sax instead when I was younger because, no, we're really not trying to have a whole drum set when you're a kid for some parents. But by age
And Bill Clinton.
37, yeah, Wait, what about McLean? Was he a drummer?
No, he was a saxophonist. So I felt
Oh,
like
right, right.
playing
Oh,
the
okay, right, right.
saxophone in
Good
the
memory.
90s
You're
was
right.
like the American thing. Yes.
And Lisa Simpson was a saxophone
Yes.
player as well. And I identified with her a lot. I often felt misunderstood and had a pain in the ass brother who was always on my ass about something, and some mischief. So yeah, but I am proud to say that at age 37, my mother came with me in the car, held my snare drum while I and helped me. We together collaborated to get my first drum set of my life at age 37. And that's it. And then I became a church drummer. I was blessed with an opportunity from the bishop and the music director to become a church drummer. And I am Jewish ethnically. So, like, I'm a church drummer. I'm a Jewish church drummer. But you know what? Through the church, I learned a phrase and it sticks with me, and it is God doesn't, oh, wait, what is it? It's like God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And
Ooh.
mhm. And
I
when
like
I
that.
sat at that drum set that first time, I was like, something in me was like, this is what you're supposed to do. And I was like,
Oh, how
cool, because I'm listening to my
fun.
intuition. I'm going to do that. And guess what? What are two of the most healing things for the autonomic nervous system, which is something that people with EDS have a lot of dysfunction in? Drumming and singing. And I'm also a vocalist. I got my voice back that I had lost years ago after my surgery, and then my
Hmm.
voice came back. So I feel like that was just symbolic on a lot of levels of like my voice is physically coming back to be able to sing, and I haven't been able to, and then I'm able to express myself on instruments. And guess what? That's what I love to do. And so I now get paid to do what I love, which was my goal. And that's
I
what
think
timeline
that's so.
jumping's about, my friends.
I mean, it really is. You know what? So, okay, the book that Lauren and I started with this book about 4 or 5 years ago called "Letting Go," with the energy scales book, but by Dotson or
Yeah.
whomever.
Frederick
Okay, so
Dodson.
he has a whole bunch of other books, right? And one of them
Levels
is
of
called
energy.
"Levels of Energy," "Transcending Energy."
Oh, another thing about
Go
Dodson. Sorry to interject. I learned
ahead.
one of the reality creation one, like the way he talks about that. I was like, this sounds familiar. Feels kind of like that program Avatar that I've done. And then in one of the books, he said, if you've ever done the Avatar course, here's the levels of energy for those courses. So it turns out he's
Oh,
done that
fun.
course and he based a lot of his stuff on that. I
That's
learned
cool.
later.
But okay, so look,
Yeah.
so it's one of the books called Power versus Force.
Oh, I
And
haven't
this
read
book
it.
was really, really important. The first time I bought it, I tried to read it, I wasn't ready for it. But I read
Right.
it at the top of the year last year, and it took all of the aggression out of me. It killed all of my hustle culture, all of it, because it was implicitly about acknowledging what feelings feel forced in experiences and how to shift to the emotions that you are aligning with to manifest what you're actually aligned with. So it made me very, very aware of, am I pushing too hard for this? Is this really for
Mm,
me? If it is for me,
yeah.
then I don't have to push this hard because I can't miss my blessing anyway. This was my blessing. So it took all
Preach.
of the fight out of it. And like I'm dealing with some really cool community building projects now. And I was telling
Mm,
one of the people I'm working with, I was like, hey, this isn't a job. This isn't
mm-hmm.
nobody in this room is your competition. And I said, you won't need any of your survival skills for this experience. They won't work here. But I don't
Mm,
think people, especially Black women, we haven't heard you can't earn this or you can't
right.
work for this. Sometimes you just gotta
Yeah.
align with it. It's gonna come to you. One of my favorite poems is by Nikki Giovanni. Rest may her soul rest in peace. But the gist of the poem is sit and wait. I'm a woman. All I gotta do is sit and wait, and it'll come to me. And
Mm-hmm.
it's much. That was just a few of the lines of it, but it's really like, no, sometimes you can't run it down. I have run some stuff down. I've run a few of my goals down
Listen,
with a straight
listen.
face. Okay.
Yeah.
You are
Maybe by
gonna I'm
email
gonna
and maybe
accomplish
if I call
you.
and if I come. Yeah. Right, right. And
But no,
yes,
really
that's so
pulling
real.
back from, but to your point of, you know, God doesn't, the I can't, okay, let me slow down so I can say it the way you said it. God God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call, right?
Hmm. Yep, that was
My
it.
my thing is this, you cannot, I translate that into, you cannot miss your blessing because you'll be prepared for it.
I literally say
Like,
that to myself every
but
day.
don't get that twisted. You don't get it twisted. You're gonna miss plenty of blessings and you're gonna miss plenty of opportunities. They weren't yours.
They weren't yours.
You cannot
That
miss yours. That's the
that
thing.
has
You can't miss
yes.
yours. And if somebody else has it, then that was theirs. Be excited because you're in proximity. But you can't miss yours. Even as much as resistance you add to it, as complicated as you make it, as much research and analysis paralysis you put into it, if it
Right.
ain't for you, baby, it ain't for you. It
Right.
ain't for you.
Listen,
And I
I
have
can't
to
believe you
make peace
said
with
that.
that. Huh?
Hmm. No, I was just
What you
gonna say
say?
I can't believe you. I was just gonna say I can't believe you said that because when I was thinking about you and this today, like the biggest thing that's been on my heart lately is whatever's meant for you won't miss you. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure we get to that point, but you got there. And that's the best part because I was already thinking that that was very important to me, but you took us there. So that's great alignment
Yeah.
because yes, like when I've really been sitting with, oh, what do I deserve, based on technical skills versus what should be somebody else's or somebody else feeling that they deserve it, that if I've gotten the opportunity or whatnot, and me reminding myself what's meant for me will not miss me. Like, and it's exactly what you're saying. And sometimes when I'm efforting too much, I'm trying to be mindful of that
Ooh,
because you need a little bit of effort, right? Like I don't think you
for
just sit
sure.
in your house and be like, opportunities come to me. I haven't done anything. I like nobody even knows
Good
I want them, but just I'm gonna
morning.
chill in my
But you know
bed.
what?
Like,
Sometimes
and
it
maybe
does.
it might happen like that too. It could
It
happen like
does.
that.
Don't get it twisted.
But
It
it
can.
could, but you probably have put in the work in some way in your life to even be aligned for the opportunity to come to you when you are sitting in your bed. Right. So like there are little steps you still had to go to the schooling and education that you went to get the opportunities that you still have to go to yoga teacher training to become a yoga teacher. Like you still have to put in the steps to do the craft, right? Like, but at the end of the day, you don't have to go door to door and be like, hi, I'd like to be a yoga teacher. Would you hire, like you don't have to do that because like it's just going to align, when you put
Well,
yourself out there effortlessly and in flow, it will align with whatever is meant to be at your vibration at that time. And so we attract where we're at is what we also need to
yeah.
remember. That's important as well.
You attract where you at, and sometimes you have to honor the honor the nudge. That's the phrase I want to use. Because, like you said, when
Mm,
you were preparing
yeah.
for, you were, something just told me I need to start packing. And, those little nudges, you don't need
Hmm.
any more details. I don't need a lot of detail. If this is what I'm supposed to do, then
Yeah.
I'll experience it. Then I'll figure out how to do it there.
Right.
But I'm very much in the space of, like, especially with my podcast, because everybody knows I had my original podcast catnips, and everybody knew about
Yeah.
catnips,
Yeah.
and it was fun, and it was a thing within itself. And then starting over with another podcast and learning how to grow that and sustain that, it's a very new experience for me. And so
Sure.
with my last few seasons, it was just a matter of, no, you're called to do this.
Mm,
Don't figure
yeah.
out nothing else except for how to do this step. That's it. That's the only step you need access to. And so
Yeah.
I honored those steps, bada bing, bada boom, released it, moved on with my day. And I started noticing like all of these weird emails. And I was like, who is emailing me? And they're like, oh, we heard we tuned into your last episode of Energy is Currency, or we saw your interview with this person, or we saw your recap of this. And the first question was how, and the second question was, and you want to do what with it?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I I saw one, and then I saw two, and then I saw five, and then I saw eight, and I was like, oh no, I'm supposed to be paying attention to this. Hold on, let me scroll back. Because sometimes we
Mhm.
aren't even paying attention to what we don't know what we should be paying attention to until we realize that's what we should be paying attention to. And when I did, I was like, okay, let me just nurture this a little bit. So I responded to the emails. I've done 9 or 10 interviews with people I've never
Mhm.
met for a podcast
That's
that I was scared to do at some
mhm.
point, and it was just like, no, you just need to show up. We're gonna figure out the rest of the stuff, and
Right.
that you
Right.
have to. I think sometimes you have to get very singular in your experience. I think,
Mhm.
especially with like myself, I feel like I'm very high minded, obviously, but I'm
Right.
so big picture that I don't care about details. And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, I was supposed to read that.
I
Let me
have
read
that. I
this
have
real
that.
quick. And I go
I
back
have
and I
that
read. I was
challenge
like,
too.
shit, I'm all over the place. Let me get in alignment with this because I'm already at the end of the goal. But it's like, no, baby, come on back. You still have to experience the journey to the
Yeah.
goal
Right.
too. You know.
My
So it's like, okay, wait,
my my spiritual teacher originally who taught me about Native American animal medicine, she'd be like, she would call that eagle medicine where we're like zoomed out big picture. And she's like, okay, you're in eagle medicine mode, and I need you in like mouse medicine mode where you're like looking, scrutinizing the little details. And I'm like, that's fair,
mm,
that's fair. So sometimes I try to
I
think
respect
about
that.
the balance of that. But I think we have to, I feel you on the listening to the nudge part, because one of my favorite gigs that, I mean, all of my favorite gigs that I've gotten. Uh-oh. I think it's reconnecting. Is it still there? Okay.
No,
It
you're
stopped for a
fine. You're
minute.
fine.
All my oh, okay, great. It said reconnecting. So all of my
Okay.
favorite gigs that I've gotten in my life have been because I've been walking down the street and then I get the nudge and then I'm like, oh, this is a cute new space. What's this? And then I go and I'm like, hi, what are you guys? Oh, we just opened. Oh, great. Are you gonna have live music? They're like, we were just talking about live music. I'm like, great. I'm a musician. Would you like some live music? They're like, yes, we love some of it. I'm like, great. Obviously, there's some details additionally, but that's like how it happens. And you know what I would say about that? To bring it full circle, that's us listening to the feather. That's us listening to the little
Mm,
feather instead of being like, no,
mm.
I'm not gonna, why isn't anything working out for me? Shut up, feather. Like we're listening to the nut. We're listening to it before it becomes the truck. Like we're listening to, but in a good way too. We're like, oh, there's the feather. The feather's telling me to go in here or to do this. Cool. And then we might not have a path, but as we walk, the path appears and tells us the next step.
Yes.
That's how I
Yes,
view it.
that's the whole Paulo Coelho alchemy book, where it's like, no, you don't need all of the experience, but you do have to get started for sure. You know
Right.
what's so funny? You were just like, you don't have to walk down and go knock on doors so that you can say, I want to be a yoga teacher. And that's literally how you became a star-studded musician.
My path is different.
10 seconds later, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this because, but
Well, you
wait,
don't have
it has
to,
worked
but my
wonderfully
path,
for me.
but my path is different. You don't have
Right?
to do it, but for me, what's always worked for me, I just walk in somewhere because you know what doesn't work for me? I blindly send a resume to blah blah blah. But you know what I will tell you? I do think that there's energy behind like technology in some ways too. And I'll give you an example. You helped me make my website, and I
I did.
was like, updating it and stuff. So I never really put it out there because I like, I would put it on certain things, but I didn't like, put it on my social media and be like, hey guys, I have a new, like, I hadn't done that yet because I was so caught in my perfectionist BS that I was like, well, when it's updated to my current level, then like, somehow this management director, or like an events director at this high end social club found it. I don't know how. And she sent me an
Ooh.
inquiry through it. This was in December. And I was like, and she was like, oh, we want to book your band for this like high end jazz brunch for the holidays. And I'm like, no way. So then I went into it and I was like, oh, it interferes with my church gig. And so I was like, well, I'm going to quote her a lot of money because, it's got to be worth me turning down my church gig and getting people to that are not also church musicians. And so then she comes back and she's like, okay, that sounds good. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, well, shoot, now I got to get out of church. but I don't want to hurt, I don't want to upset them. Like, oh, I hope they are cool with it. And they were so supportive of it. They were like, oh, go fly, go fly. Like, we'll see you next week. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then like I assembled this great band, all musicians at a way higher level than me that I'm shocked they would play with me. And then we played, and the social club was like, you guys like were everything we expected, but then way more than that. Like, how did, and the general manager was like, how'd they find you? Like, how'd she find, and I'm like laughing because I'm thinking, and then she reached out to me afterwards and she was like, hey, can you help me book some artists? So now we're going to be working together with some booking. So we just started booked February's list of artists, and it all came from the website that you helped me make. So how
I do
about
be
that?
making
Now,
websites, y'all. Because you know what my
little
belief
plug for
is?
Lexi.
Listen, you have to make it easy for people to give you money.
That part. But I didn't even make
That
it
is,
easy. I didn't even publish it anywhere because of my own perfectionist BS that it wasn't like reflecting my, we made it a
this
few
the
years
thing.
ago. So I was like, I got to update
Even
it.
if you
But even
want,
still, the universe found
even if
me.
you
The universe
want
was
to,
like, okay.
yeah, exactly. And that you know what? I have another friend where it's like when people learn how to tap into their ability to receive, then they don't
Mm.
have to go hunt anymore. And I think you have put out enough energy and enough energy into your craft, into your business, into your
Oh, thank
music,
you.
into your development that you're in a space to receive. It's so funny as I have a friend who just became um, a hair production professor. Like, where do they
Oh,
even have those at? So,
huh.
one, they created a position for him, and two, a person that he had only met once 5 years ago referred him to the position. My friend has not updated his resume since 1996. It still had like, eh, I just started working at McDonald's, 3 months of experience at McDonald's. And it's like, what are you doing? But that wasn't necessary because that blessing was for him. We can figure out
That,
paperwork.
yep.
The website was a seed planted. It was, this is how you want to make it
Yes,
easy. And my thing is this, with businesses, you're gonna still have to do the legwork, no pun
sure.
intended, and you're gonna have to do the, and you're gonna have to make it easy for people to do you money. That you've done both. You've done both. So
Thank
I just think that's so
you.
cool. But the big point that I'm making here is that you have to develop your ability to receive, and
Mm-hmm.
that means sometimes just whether you think it's perfect or not, press and publish.
Right.
Whether, you know what I mean, that means we're opening and reading emails. Okay, very
Mm-hmm.
guilty. I have mailbox anxiety. Okay, I have
I
mailbox PTSD. So
right. Do you know how many
having
unread
those
emails
little
I have?
things,
10,000.
we're not going to talk about that.
Blah,
I'm going
blah.
to start sweating just talking to it, just talking about it. But just making space, doing the things, preparing the space. That once you get over
Yes,
yourself, is
right.
there for you.
That part.
Have you read the book called The Big Leap?
No, but I'm gonna
Read The
write
Big
that
Leap.
down.
It articulates The Big Leap. I just finished it. It articulates the specific performances we do to self sabotage ourselves.
Oh, and I thought I knew all mine, but I'm sure there's more to discover.
You know what? You definitely do, but now you can put them into
Hmm.
categories and see them in action as you
Yeah.
continue to level up. And it'll even bring up those old moments where it was like, well, why did I do this? It was
Hmm.
necessary. It was awkward, but
Yep.
it happened. What did it mean? What was my subconscious trying to teach me or protect me or prepare me for? And the
Right.
book does a beautiful job of taking our self sabotage and turning it into a recognizable pattern to work with.
That's helpful. That's helpful. Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I the book has already earned its money. It's already earned its money. And my little 14.99 was
Yeah.
very well spent. Okay. But no, check
Yes.
out The Big Leap. That is a
Thank you.
an excellent book. It really is. That's an
Written
excellent book.
down. I
So
take
look,
Alexi recommendation seriously.
y'all should. Y'all, she is not a
Mhm.
paid, this is not a paid interview. This is a real person. She's saying real things.
She's saying real things and
So
recommending real books. Remember books, kids? Go
right?
learn us
They
things.
exist.
They learn us things.
So, how can we, if we're in the Baltimore area or the DMV area, how can we connect with your business and your music and have you come and
Oh, thanks for
perform and
asking. Oh
elevate
my
the
gosh.
frequency?
I love that you dropped the DMV too. Way to be in the know. That's great. So,
Listen, listen.
my Instagram
Surrounding
is Lauren
areas, okay?
Slinney. My Instagram
Mm-hmm.
is Lauren Slinney. My face, that's LaurenSlinnY, which was my radio name from
Mm-hmm.
back in Chicago. It just stays,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then my Facebook is the same, Lauren Slinney, just on Facebook. So find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram. My website, designed by Lexi,
Yes.
is Lauren Austin. Lauren Austin Creates. My middle name is Austin. It was also my pseudonym when I used to get in trouble, like, you know, in college and stuff with my friends and I causing mischief. So my best friend from Nina from my childhood, one of my band names is the Lauren Austin Trio. That's when we're doing like, you know, more high end events and we want to make it sound nice. And my best friend Nina was like, "No way did you name your trio after the fake name we used to give when we would get in trouble, like back in college." And I was like, "Yes." So that actually was a venue owner that named it that because he saw that it was my middle name, and he somewhere was like, "Oh, should I bill you as the Lauren Austin Trio?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's perfect." And so then I sent it to my best friend, and I was like, "Nina, listen, this is my band name that somebody else named me, and it's literally the pseudonym I used to use when I would get in trouble, which all feels perfect because when I was a little kid once, I got kicked out of preschool for getting all the kids to follow me around and play music, and the teacher lost control. We're playing on the piano and all this stuff. My dad had to pick me up, and when the teacher told him that, he laughed because he was like, and then she was like, "Oh, well, you're the bad influence because you're laughing and you think that's funny." And now I get paid to get all the kids in the DMV to run around and play music with me.
A
So
little Pied Piper of sorts.
a Pied Piper.
An
So
acoustic
Lauren
Pied Piper.
Austin, Lauren Austin Trio, but Lauren Slinney is my Instagram handle and my Facebook. Connect with me, look me up, come hear us play, and
Yes.
make music with us if you're a fellow musician.
This has been one of my favorite conversations thus far.
Thanks,
We're at an
honey.
hour now. I feel like our
Yeah, we.
our people listening are driving around in circles because they don't want to turn the radio off. But if you want to listen to this episode and all the other episodes of Energy is Currency, check it out on wherever you podcast, Spotify, Apple, um, iHeartRadio, Pandora, wherever you podcast is where we're at. And if you want to learn more about my little business stuff, because honey, I can get you together, then you need to visit
Everything.
blushbizonline.com. And that's where all of my supportive business stuff is. So that's it. That's the show. This is Energy is Currency. I hope you use your energy to make the money you deserve. Okay. Love yourself and love yourself well. Oh. And until next time, thank you, Lauren. Thank you for visiting.
Oh, I love you. Thanks for
We're
having
gonna have her
me.
back on the show, y'all. Yes, this was a pleasure.
Always.
All right, y'all. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
That was awesome. That was a really great episode. So I have a little